And now, let's join Maggie Linton on SiriusXM Urban View.
Well, welcome back. Later this hour, tips on how to buy diamond jewelry with author Elve. He is co-founder of Imagine Diamonds. But we begin with an often hilarious look at how hard it can be to pursue your dreams. Maisha Davis is a wardrobe stylist, seamstress, and author of I Just Wanted to Be a Fashion Designer. Her clients have included Pink, Queen Latifah, Andre 3000 of Outkast, CeeLo Green, Angela Bassett, and many, many others. Thank you so much. She's in studio, folks. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
And well, Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
I'll tell you, your book, almost from the very beginning, was the pursuit of your dreams.
Absolutely.
And you had some a great mentor who was your mom, who was a fashionista, even when she didn't have a whole lot of money.
Absolutely. And it seems like in the fashion world, that's where some of the best fashion, the most authentic and genuine ideas about fashion are born out of that wanting to see more, do more, be more, and just the need to express yourself, even when the money's not there. And it's sometimes in those moments where you don't have, the name brand, everything is when the most pure and genuine fashion sense can be birthed. And I did learn that right at home. Started right at home. Mm-hmm.
Because your mom would take a fashion, a piece of clothing, and completely redo it for you and your sister.
Absolutely. That's exactly what she did. And just to watch her get clothes from Salvation Army, Goodwill, Purple Heart, take those just god-awful dresses and turn them into the best, outfits that you wanted to wear every day. Easter, Picture Day, Christmas, and they never got old. And it was so unique. And people are like, oh my gosh, where did you guys get that from? But it started right at home.
Yeah.
It started right at home.
And your passion for fashion started quite young, didn't it?
Very young.
And that's where you opened the book.
Absolutely.
Talk about that.
Well, fashion was the only thing I ever dreamed of doing. It was just literally from 6 years old, 7 years old, that young, just sketching out ideas and wanting to, just create. And dreaming out loud on that paper and being able to, put together outfits and enjoying the colors and learning about fabric. And thankfully, my mom was sewing. So you get at home, you're at home and you go to the fabric store and it's just opening that world, layer by layer by layer. You get to learn about that world. So that's how it started for me.
I had to laugh because at one point, at the early part of your book, you talk about going to home economics class that included sewing. And I took one of those. Now, it sounded like your teacher was a little bit more of a visionary because our teacher, you had to make a pleated skirt and I think one other thing. But I made so many of my clothes when I was younger because I didn't want to look like everybody else.
Absolutely.
And, I didn't want to be the clone that came out of the clothing store. And it sounds like you didn't either.
Well, more than that, honestly, I wanted to be the clone that came out of the clothing store, but our economics just didn't permit it. So you had to come up with something else. You couldn't, thankfully, we grew up in an environment where it wasn't a pity party environment. Oh, we don't have this, so we can't do that. It was create something out of what you have right in front of you. And that's exactly what we had to do. I wanted so badly to be, with the Adidas. For us growing up, I'm a 70s baby growing up in the 80s as a teenager. You wanted to wear shell toe Adidas and the leather bomber, everything that was on the new videos, but it was not what we could do. So we had to come up with something different. And for me, I would wear my brother's clothes and figure out a way to put them together. Anything I could get my hands on where I can create a style that was uniquely mine. And for the kids who had all of the television stuff and the movie video stuff, they literally would come up to me and say, I really like the way you dress. And I would be like, are you kidding?
But see, you had a sense of style.
Absolutely.
And that's what you've worked so much in as a stylist.
Absolutely. And it's funny because styling was never my goal. We didn't grow up hearing, like now you hear stylist. It's everywhere. For me, I was given that title. I was given that label, and thankfully I was able to just walk into it and accept it. But you it's something you can't teach. You just have to birth it. Just has to be birthed in you. And I'm thankful that I had that and had those opportunities.
You also are smart.
Thank you.
Starting out with the science.
Yeah.
And your teachers pushing you toward that science and technology, and you still
Absolutely.
drawing the fashion.
Absolutely.
And finally, the light went on for the assistant, didn't it?
Absolutely. And that's thankfully, like I said, because of our situation economically, we had a lot of people in our family to tell us education was the way. And I grabbed hold of that, and I was gifted in science. I got an intern, a research apprenticeship at the Michigan Cancer Foundation, and I understood everything that was going on. But in between waiting for test results and I would be sketching.
Got a little pad
Right,
out.
I would.
Yeah.
I'm in there sketching and I'm drawing collections. And I remember one of the assistants, she was like, if that's what you really want to do, you should pursue that. And not to say I was bad at I was still good in chemistry, and that was really my thing. I could understand it, but this is where it was just, I found I could breathe and with the sketching and fashion and coming up with the ideas, and it was awesome. And I appreciate getting that encouragement to do that.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Once again, we are talking with Maisha Davis. She's a wardrobe stylist, seamstress, and author of I Just Wanted to Be a Fashion Designer. And folks, we're going to get more into the story. And she did bring books with her.
Yes.
We have 3 to give away.
Yes.
But you got to ask a question. So let's talk about some of the craziness that went on to your life. Because you had applied, when you were getting out of school, you had applied to many fashion institutes. And your mama looked at you and she said, it's got to be in Michigan.
It's got to be in Michigan.
There's no Fashion Institute of Michigan,
No,
is there?
there's not. There are now.
Yeah.
But at the time,
No.
and for me, that was it. It was just like somebody popped the air in my balloon and it just went. I wasn't sure what to do. I was kind of lost. Thankfully, on the other side of that, going to business school just helped me with a lot of things that I didn't know coming from our particular environment. Etiquette, a lot of things about etiquette and how to carry yourself and what's expected of you when you go into different avenues, no matter what it is, just a certain level of professionalism. I'm very grateful for that. That's what I learned. For me, in college, that's what I learned. And a lot of cultural building a lot of culture. And that helped me to get to the next level when I decided to pursue fashion full time after school.
And moving to Atlanta.
That
was also the other key that opened the door that you walked through and totally embraced.
Yeah, and Atlanta was nothing like it is now. Even when I visit Atlanta now, I'm like, what is this place? When I was in Atlanta, it was just a little baby. And just making that mark on the music industry and that music scene. And everybody was fresh and new and those new ideas. And I'm thankful. My energy and what I had to offer was open arm accepted in Atlanta, Georgia at the time.
And got into fashion there. But you have this, one of the first funny stories was wanting to go to the American Council of Black Designers retreat, seminar, whatever, 3-day affair. And you were working for Chase Records at that point.
I didn't have a penny. I wanted to go.
This is inventiveness, folks. Pay attention. Go ahead.
I wanted to go to this Council of Black Fashion Designers that was happening in Atlanta. At the time, I was an intern at the record label. I got the information. The lady who was in charge of the program, the council meeting, she was trying to gain sponsorship from the record label, and being in marketing, we got her request, and I just
you should
called.
say you were just an intern.
I was just an intern. I was not an employee.
Yeah.
I was an intern, and you can't be afraid to take a risk. You can't be afraid to take a chance.
Yeah,
you
every
have
day.
to.
We tell our interns that every day.
You have to take a chance. So for me, when I spoke with the woman and she wanted money, I knew I couldn't get her money. I was an intern. I knew there was no way I could go to the head of the label or even to my boss at the time time the director of marketing and say, okay, can you sponsor this lady so I can get, I said, what else can we do for you? You know, just presenting myself in that light. What else can I do to help you and your council of Black fashion designers? And she's like, well, you know, we do have gift bags, and if we could get some CDs, and, you know, at the record label, to get your hands on CDs is just like picking up a pencil or a pen in an office. It's CDs everywhere. How many do you need? You need about 500. I made really good friends with the guy in the stock room. I said, look, I need some CDs. We got to be, and I'm like, okay, if we're able to
and
do
they have
this,
to be people that
right,
we've at least heard of.
Exactly. Like, can you take care of this for me? He's like, you know, yeah, you know, you want to trade those favors. And I'm like, if we can get these CDs for you, you know, we have a few people here at the office who want to be able to come to the event. Can we do? Oh, she's like, sure, no problem. I got those CDs together so fast and sent them to her. And
But when I
got there, I guess I did too good of a job presenting myself, because they literally labeled me the director of marketing or marketing director. And I'm like, I'm just an intern. You know, I didn't have the heart to tell them. I didn't want to mess up what I had done. But at the same time, I was like, oh my gosh.
And then you ran into somebody who did have a real job at the company.
It's so true. I didn't know what to do. I had got myself in this situation. I got what I wanted, but more than what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, the person who I ran into, they totally understood, and they didn't knock my hustle, because it was just, for me, it was a hustle. I had to get this done to get to where I wanted to be. And it was such a great, I remember this conference. It was so great. There were people from Nike there, the people who work with Michael Jordan specifically. There were a lot of fashion designers there. The people who do a lot of urban and hip hop design, a lot of stylists, FUBU, exactly. Yeah. People I would have never met if I hadn't taken that chance. And I had to take that chance to get there, to be around the people doing what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Well, kind of like what we were talking with Coach Cass earlier. You gotta step out on faith and using your inventiveness, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But from there, you wound up with a few contacts that then helped open another door.
And that's exactly how it happened. It was one door after. I would meet someone who would open another door, and meet someone who opened another door, and meet someone who opened another door. And the dream I had as a child, I never dreamed celebrity. Never. That was never my dream. My dream was, honestly, I just wanted to be a great fashion designer. I wanted to be one of the best. But to get to that level, to work with celebrity, it was just like, wow, this is better than I ever could have imagined. But that was exactly how it happened. It was just one door after another, and meeting someone who opened another door. And of course, there were times when it didn't work out, but you have to learn from those experiences, dust yourself off, and move on anyway.
All right, let's talk about the movie.
Yeah.
And we're laughing because there's a lot of hilarity, and you just kind of would put it down, and then next thing I know, I'd be laughing hard.
Good.
An athlete who wanted to be his star in his own movie, director, producer, everything.
Yeah.
By the way, folks, phones were open 866-801-8255. Once again, 3 books to give away. Believe me, you're going to want a copy of this. It's 866-801-8255. Go ahead.
So I had, once I started working at the label and moved into that stylist position and started to make a lot of clothes, it just opened doors. And I was introduced to this former football player who he was working on his own movie. This was going to be his next career. And he had done work on guest appearances on a couple of different comedies. So he wanted to make this movie. And when he was making this movie, he was Mr. Everything. He was the writer, producer, director. He was the star. He was in charge of lighting, the music. I was shocked. He wanted help doing wardrobe. Honestly, I was surprised, but he wanted help doing wardrobe. And it's funny because everything that I had done, I was apprehensive. I was like, this guy's not going to hire me for this. And I had my little portfolio. Yeah, I had my little portfolio together, and I wasn't sure if I even had done enough. And it's funny because you have those moments where you think like, am I good enough? Do I have enough? And I meet him and this look on his face, and I was just like, oh man, he's not going to give me this position. But he was just like, this is so professional. I don't know if I can afford you. And I'm just like blown away.
Yeah, and then comes the negotiation.
Exactly. And then it's just like, oh, okay, I can really ask for some money? Seriously? Like, I'm in a position to ask for money? So it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. It was working in an area that I wanted. After working as a stylist, you start to see other avenues, because I never wanted, movies weren't in the dream, but it just happened. And I was just so thankful for it, and getting a chance to work in this vein and work in this area. And it's starting off on that small budget movie to go to a big budget movie. Yeah. And it was just, that opportunity was awesome.
And the videos. We've got a call from Kimberly in New Mexico. Good morning, Kimberly. Thank you for calling, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you also. How are you? And hi to your guest.
Oh, I'm doing great. It's a new year. Got to try and get it right again.
I know that's right. Me too. Well, I just really wanted to call. I'm listening to you. I listen to you every day. I'm a truck driver. I'm going to shoot my horn to you and your guest. Hold on.
That's awesome.
I love your show. I do, and I listen to you every day. You inspire me, and I just love you, and the guests you bring on is very educational. And I just really want to say Happy New Year, Maggie Linton, and I love you, and have a great New Year.
Well, hang on, Kimberly, because you got to get a copy of this book. I'm telling
you,
it is a wonderful book, and it is. I just wanted to be a fashion designer. And we're talking, of course, to Maisha Davis, but it is a riot, and a lot of other funny things that we'll talk about as we go along. But I think you'll really enjoy this book. Okay?
Oh, thank you. I would love it. Thank you so much, Maggie.
And Adele will get your phone number. And so thank you very much for that Happy New Year shout out, and the same to you, and stay safe out there on the roads.
All right. Thank you very much.
All
Have
right.
a great day, you and your guests.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a Happy New Year.
Yeah, it's amazing how you never know who you're affecting. But let's talk about the paperback payment and move on from there.
So,
okay.
You have to be prepared. You have to be prepared. You never know. I had been working at the label, and I started working for all these artists, and I'm getting, I'm used to receiving payment in a certain kind of way. I get a nice check. I can go to the bank. I cash my check. Everything's fine. I'm working, and then I go to work on this movie, which was a great experience. But it was a different kind of experience, and you have to be open to people on their level. And so when it's time for me to receive payment for the movie, it wasn't a question of would I get the money. It's just he handed me a brown paper bag, and I was just like, what is this? He handed me this bag and walked out of the room, and I look in there and there's cash, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Can we go to McDonald's now?
Exactly. Like, okay. It's a nice amount of cash in this paper bag, but you have to be ready. You can't limit yourself to, I only want this kind of experience. I only want to have this type of, I'm only open to this avenue or this boulevard. You have to be open for those experiences to affect you, to learn from them, to accept where you are, and accept those who you want to work for and work with, accept them for where they are also.
In your book, you also point out how people are observing you even when you don't realize you are being observed. Very
true.
Talk about how Andre 3000 came into your life, because it wasn't because you were just hanging around the label, was it?
No, it wasn't at all. So one thing that I had started to do was every opportunity I could, I would make my own clothes. Anything I could make for myself. And sometimes they'd be elaborate, and sometimes they'd be very simple things. So in this particular case, I just made a simple jersey skirt, just with an elastic waistband, 2 seams, and a hem. And it was comfortable, and I wore it, and I'm at the label, and I'm walking around with this skirt. And Andre's mother, God bless her, rest in peace, Sharon Benjamin, Miss Benjamin said, I like your skirt. I said, oh, thank you so much. She said, where'd you get that skirt? I said, oh, I made it. You did? She said, you did? I'm going on tour with my son. Can you make that skirt for me? Sure, no problem. I make this skirt for her, and And I knew she was at the label before. I'd seen her at the label before. And of course I heard of her son. I was a huge fan in college of Outkast.
I love Outkast.
Bought the tickets and went to the shows and everything before I moved to Atlanta, anything. Total Outkast fan. And I knew who Miss Benjamin was. But when she's like, well, I want you to make this skirt for me. Then she had me do alterations for her. And then one day she calls and she says, my son wants some clothes made. I'm going to give him your number. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Really? This is beyond anything I could have ever imagined. And when he called, I was glad that first meeting was a face-to-face because I was a wreck.
You're a little freaked out, weren't you?
I was freaked out. I'm on the phone. I'm making all of the faces. I'm jumping up and down. I got tears in my eyes and trying to be cool at the same time. Okay, yeah, no problem. Call me. I'll make clothes for you. But that's how it turned out.
And
that's
he is a fashion plate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, always has been.
Always has been.
At least it's kind of like in his DNA, like it is in yours.
Absolutely.
Once again, we're talking with Maisha Davis. She's a wardrobe stylist, seamstress, and author of I Just Wanted to Be a Fashion Designer. We've got a call from Debbie in Michigan. Good morning, Debbie. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Yes, Debbie, go ahead. You're on.
Yes,
radio.
I'm just saying that book is the most hilarious book that I've ever read. I love the sharing of her life experiences and the opportunities, how she went against all the odds, and how she came out such a winner. She is an excellent writer, and I would recommend that book to anyone.
All right. Well, thank you, Debbie. Do you need
All right.
you need another copy, or you got it? You're good.
Yeah, I'm good. I have it on my laptop.
There you go.
All
Thank you
right.
so much, Debbie, for
Thank
calling.
you.
Okay,
We love
and my
you.
name
Thank
is
you.
Maggie.
I'm sorry?
My name is Maggie.
Oh, well, thank you, Maggie.
From
All
one
right.
Maggie to
From that
another.
one, yes. Happy New Year to you.
Okay.
Stay blessed.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See,
That's awesome.
people have read the book because we have to move along a little quicker.
Okay.
Almost getting shot.
Yeah.
I can't even go to a whole. Go ahead, quick.
You know, you just have to be open, and anything can happen, and you just have to be prayerful, and we're just working toward that dream and working toward that goal, and you end up in places that you're not necessarily sure about, and
You're just working.
You're just working, and that's what happens. That you almost get shot, and you live to tell about it, and it's okay. It's in there.
It's in there. It is.
It's in there.
We've got a call from Lori in Maryland. Good morning, Lori. Thank you for calling.
Hi, good morning, and Happy New Year, Maggie.
Thank you, and same to you.
Thank you. And to your guest, Maisha, Happy New Year to you.
Hi, thank you so much. Happy New Year to you, too.
Thank you. When I hear your story, I kind of feel like this is somebody I probably would have known growing up in Brooklyn and kind of, inventing your own style because you don't always have the money.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I can definitely relate to that. But I also was, had other, I would say, abilities or talents, but was always encouraged to stay the path of school and get your education. And so even though my mother was a hairstylist, it's interesting. She was just like, no, you can't go anywhere else but college. And so we were very on a straight and narrow path, which, has its benefits because, you have a stable check coming in and all that.
Absolutely,
but
absolutely.
What is the downside to, I guess, putting yourself out there? Because I have two little girls, and, what do I say to them if they one day want to say, Mom, I don't want to go to college. I want to be a stylist. I want to do this. Is there a downside to the business as far as you worrying about when the next check is going to come in, when the next job is going to be available? What's the downside?
I get this question every day. Every day. In the beginning, staying the course of school, I went to college. I did my 4 years. I did that mainly because that's what I was getting from my home base.
And as you said earlier, you got a lot of business courses out of there, which have really done her well for building her own business.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I think there's one universal thing. No matter what you do, there can be a downside. And it's up to you to decide, are the benefits worth more than the downside. For me, all of these experiences led me right here today. Yes, there were times where I didn't have a dime. Yes, there were times where I cried and I was in a dark place. But then you get those days where you get the call and, hey, Denzel Washington is making a movie in Atlanta. We heard you do wardrobe. Please come out and do wardrobe. And you're there and you're on the set and you get that experience. That opens another door. And then that opens another door. And then that opens another door. I get this question from parents all the time. And I understand it because my daughter is 3.5. So I understand it. And I know looking in that little face, you want the best for them. You want to see them. You don't want to see your kids fall. You want to see them do better than you did. And I get it. But there's a part of them that has courage that we don't have, that we don't see, but that we nurture. And we can nurture that courage and give them the understanding that they need. And maybe they're scrapping and scraping for a year or two, but then that payoff is so great. That payoff is so great. So all I can say is encourage them. Encourage them. And as from one mother to the next, encourage your child, that thing that they love to do. Encourage it in them. Don't make them feel bad about it. Encourage them. Tell them they can do it. Because, you never know. Maybe it'll bend them in another direction. Maybe it's today, mommy, I want to sew and I want to be a fashion designer and I want to be a stylist. And you look up 5-10 years later, that internship has influenced them. Now I want to be a fashion writer. Or maybe I want to do a radio show about fashion, or maybe I want to be a documentary filmmaker about fashion, or you never know, that behind the scenes person, and that's your child. And like my mom, hey mom, doing the Maggie Linton show, oh, I'm there, I'm coming, I want to come and they're introducing you to cool stuff and new ideas. So it's a downside to everything, but sometimes the sun shines so bright in those places that it's worth it to take that risk and to take that chance.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Lori, and if you hang on, Adele will get your number, and we're going to send you the book because your daughters will get a lot of encouragement out of that. Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Maisha.
No problem at all.
All right, I'm going to take one more, Rochelle from Massachusetts. Good morning, Rochelle. Thank you so much for calling.
Hi, Ms. Davis. I'm really excited about listening to your story. The purpose for my call is I have a 17-year-old niece.
Okay.
She's National Honor Society. In her parents' mind, she was always going to be a doctor. But at about 5 years old, I noticed that she's been in dance since she was like 2. At 5 years old, I picked up this pad, and she's drawing like these dresses that I would wear.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she's now decided in her mind that she wants to pursue something in the fashion / art industry. Her parents are somewhat dismayed. My thing is allow her to pursue her dream.
Absolutely.
And she, like you, is excellent in all of her schoolwork. Okay. Really good in math and science, too. So the purpose for my call is actually just so I can get a copy of the book.
You're going to get a copy of the book.
And then I want to share this too. Like I said, I hear this every book fair I do, every interview I do. I hear this all the time where there are young people who are doing awesome. They're excelling in academics, science, math. They're excelling in these areas.
Well, you got to know your numbers if you're sewing,
absolutely.
don't you?
You better know it. Those fractions,
yeah.
and you have to know it. But there's a fire inside of them that's creative. And what I would like to encourage parents, and as a parent myself, encourage that. Encourage it. There are so many avenues to pursue. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm done with school and I'm just out here and I'm going to just be this flower child looking for a creative way to be and do. Encourage it. Look for constructive ways to encourage that creativity. And I will say this, one of the designers that I actually worked for in the book, he himself, as a successful designer, we had the same similar background. He was pursuing a medical career. He had got all of the scholarships, and he was pursuing medicine. The way this man could sketch and sew and drape fabric was off the charts, and he took a chance. He was Mexican. His name was, probably shouldn't even say his name, but he came to the States. He opened this business, and he took off. He took off running. Is that going to be everybody's story? No, but you have to create your own little avenue. You
and
create
pursue your dreams.
and pursue your dreams. And then there's a saying that I learned in 2014 that I'm taking into 2015: comfortably uncomfortable. You're comfortable what you're doing, but that risk makes you uncomfortable. Take that uncomfortable risk, because the payoff for it, oh my gosh, is so great.
I'm really, really, really excited, and I think she's an avid reader also, so she'll thoroughly enjoy your book.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rochelle. Have a happy New Year. Hang on, we'll get your your address, and we'll be sending that book out. And Adia from Texas, I cannot take your call, but Adele will get your number, and I will also send you my copy of the book, because if I see a 10-year-old interested in fashion,
that one,
okay.
and I have another one.
Okay.
We'll get
one to
copy,
Adia,
and
then,
we'll sign all of them. We'll make
Texas,
sure all of them are signed.
All right. Listen, thank you so much, everybody, for calling. And Maisha, thank you. Some really encouraging words. There's some parents out there that I'm sure are going, fashion, and they turn it over in their, They need to go ahead and do it, don't they? Once again, it is wardrobe stylist, seamstress Maisha Davis. Her hilarious and poignant memoir is I Just Wanted to Be a Fashion Designer. It's available at Amazon.com, other locations, lots more at her website, Maisha, and that's Maisha, MaishaDavis.com, Facebook and Twitter at Maisha Davis. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Continued success.
Thank you so much.
Coming up, buying a girl's best friend. Stay tuned.
You're listening to the Maggie Linton Show on Sirius XM Urban View. We'll be right back.